With our stunning collection of fine jewelry, gemstones, pearls and diamonds, fine pieces in timeless designs and unspoken elegance. Al Siraj Jewelry, our story, our pride.
NEC Remit. Send money online to India. Credit in seconds with great rates. Download NEC Remit app now.
Lulu Money, Snehapurvam.
The exclusive franchisee of Cochin Kala Bhavan in Bahrain. With over a decade of existence in Bahrain, exclusive online regular classes have started for classical dances, music vocal, instrumental music, cinematic dance, Kathak, Zumba body fitness, karate and yoga, drawing, arts and craft, children's theatre. For more information, please call 3909 6845 3909 4806 3885 2397 or visit www.bahrainmediacity.com.
Your health is an investment, not an expense. Good evening everyone. Welcome back to yet another episode of BMC Global Live Al Hilal Health World. Nothing but just a lifestyle. Health World, nothing but lifestyle. This is the 56th episode, and whether we are sick or not, we are always concerned about our health and we have hundreds of questions in our mind. Considering this in our mind, BMC along with Al Hilal always comes up with expert doctors to answer your queries. Today also we have a very good topic, something common but something which concerns everyone. I am talking about diabetes, and we have an expert doctor with us, Dr. Rahul Abbas. He is here to answer all our queries and to pacify us with our questions, and he will answer all of our questions today. And Dr. Rahul Abbas is a medical graduate from Trivandrum Medical College. He did his post-graduation from National Board of Examinations, New Delhi. He started his career at Kannur Medical College and then moved to Sri Narayana Institute, Cochin as assistant professor and then as an associate professor. Currently, Dr. Rahul Abbas is with Al Hilal Multi-Speciality Medical Center, Atalia, as a consultant physician. Dr. Rahul Abbas is here to remove all our worries. I'm sure all of you are waiting to hear from him. Let's move on. Good evening, doctor. Welcome to the show.
Good evening, Jisha.
And from the time we announced the poster, we received a lot of queries. Many people are concerned about their health, especially diabetes. They have a lot of questions.
Sure.
So once again, welcome, and we have a lot to hear from you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So first of all, many says it's a silent killer. Diabetes is a silent killer, and it makes us blind. So many things like that. Is it really true?
Well, to start with, Jisha, why
Yeah.
actually what's most important about diabetes and why we talk about diabetes this day is basically November marks the Diabetes Day of this year.
Yeah.
And the World Diabetes Associations, they make sure that the theme of this diabetes year is that access to diabetes care.
Okay.
Though diabetes is prevalent, as we all know when we speak, everyone knows about diabetes, but how many of them get care? They get
Okay.
access. You find that there are a very large population who does not get access. And to those who get access, are they doing it properly?
Okay.
Now that is where the relevance of your question come. Even though we have, say in case we take Bahrain, we have access to all healthcare facilities here, all of us, thank God. Are we doing it properly? Why there is a reluctance is because, are we really concerned about diabetes? So to answer the question, I'm not going to make or I'm not going to figure out a number stating that this is so scary. Instead of that, I'd like to tell you the science behind it.
Okay.
Diabetes is a disease to be concerned for sure. Why? As you said, it's a silent killer. Now, if it is a killer, we must be concerned about. Let us say, not just life, as you mentioned, blindness. See,
Yeah.
who does want to survive with a decreased vision? Imagine the specs I use. I'm not comfortable. I would have much better without the specs. So if I'm diabetic and I'm losing my vision, I won't like it.
Yeah.
So diabetes as such is not a single disease. Though it looks like a single term, it involves multiple systems of your body. As for example, say if you have uncontrolled blood sugar and it is uncontrolled kept going on, if it affects your eyes, your vision to the eyes decreases, you start to develop blindness. Imagine that it affects your heart. Say for example, the blood vessels supplying to the heart gets narrowed, you can have a heart attack. Imagine
Okay.
the same thing that happens to your brain. The blood supply to the brain is decreased, you can have a stroke.
Okay.
Now these are major things to scare, but there are some things else which you just try to ignore. Now diabetic patients, many of them, they develop burning sensations in their hands and feet, which is
Okay.
not like a scary thing. But imagine that every time at night you go to sleep, you feel your heart is, your feet burns, and that you try to do X and Y measures to control it. It affects your quality of your life. It's because the nerves supplying to your legs and your hands, they are deprived of blood because of small blocks that are occurring inside the vessel supplying these nerves.
Okay.
So that's also a concern. Imagine in males, though they don't speak out much commonly, a very large portion of patients with diabetes have a sexual dysfunction, erectile dysfunction,
Okay.
which is also not spoken about. Now, if you ask me, are these scary? Actually, these are all to be concerned, because this affects the quality of life. Not that a doctor says that you must control your sugar because it can cause death or that it can cause heart attack. No, it affects your quality of life, your daily
Okay.
performance. If you assess yourself, you feel healthy if you are having diabetes.
Diabetes.
So definitely diabetes is to be concerned, and this is the reason why when association says that diabetes access is most important. Even when we have access to care, many of them are reluctant because they really do not understand. Though we tend to scare them with death, attack and strokes, I would say no. The quality of life is more important than the
And that's
deaths.
what matters
That's
actually.
what matters the most in our daily living. Of course, every day is quality.
Though it's a basic malfunctioning of pancreas, it affects all our body
Every
parts.
part of your body. I must not miss any part because it affects almost every part of the body.
So A to Z, everything
A
is.
to Z, everywhere there is a blood supply.
So-
Because it's actually not directly affecting an organ, it's affecting the blood supply to the organ. So you see the
Okay.
blood supplies everywhere.
Yeah, true.
So definitely it affects almost
So
all
something
parts.
to be cared.
Definitely something to be concerned about. Definitely.
Okay. So like we used to hear 150 is the normal range.
Yeah.
And as we move, now we hear 120, 125 is the normal range, and if it is goes above, sugar level goes above 125, we need to take medicines.
Yes.
But as we always hear, people are paranoid about taking medicines.
True.
And they try to control with exercise or controlling food.
Yes.
And they still avoid medicines. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I will start with this first statement of yours when people are concerned that years before, when my grandfather or my father was diagnosed diabetes, the doctor then told that it was 160 or 150, and then later doctor, now people say it is 126. Are these numbers varying? Because that I hear often from patients, and when I go for talks, questions randomly asked stating that, is there some game behind this, that are doctors promoting medicines? Is it because these values have come down so more and more people become diabetic? I would say no, that is not the truth, because you forget the science. Now even students, when I teach in medical schools, they ask us, doctor, from where does this magic number come, like 150 or 126, you say, who gave this number, from where it come? Actually, it is not just a number that has been framed by some people sitting there stating that let us be 126 and more we call diabetic. No, it is based on a science stating that when we studied the complications of diabetes and observed people, millions and millions of people were studied and found that which was the value that would prevent, if you would keep a value of your blood sugar before this level, it would prevent the earliest complication.
Okay.
So it was taken as diabetic retinopathy, that means something affecting the eyes was taken as the marker, and the studies proved that if your blood sugars were kept below 126, then the earliest complication, diabetic retinopathy, to occur can be minimized.
Okay.
So it was it's a large study, not just in one part of the world. People say, okay, maybe Americans did it. No, it was like all over the world. The study proved that when you keep your value below 126, you have the least likely chance of having a complication.
Okay.
So that is how the 126 came. Now coming to your second part of your question, that yes, of course, this is what we clinicians often face. Every one of us faces this question. People are concerned about taking medicines.
Yes.
Well, there is a paranoid that once I start medicines, doctor, are there any side effects? Will they affect kidneys?
Yes.
And then, doctor, once I start, should I take lifelong?
Yeah,
Now,
this is the most important concern.
This is the paranoia that people
Yeah.
they keep away from taking the proper care in diabetes. Now let us make that point very clear here through science. Well, the treatment of diabetes, if you ask me, or the management of diabetes is absolutely not just medicines for sure.
Okay.
Because I know that nowadays all of us are aware, all the listeners now, they are definitely aware of how to prevent diabetes or how to control diabetes. But they should understand that it is just like the pillars of your building.
Okay.
Say if I say one pillar in the management of diabetes is exercise,
Okay.
one pillar is say diet control,
Okay.
see the third pillar being stress management, and the fourth pillar is definitely the medicine.
Okay.
So you know your building can stay well with three pillars, provided if all three are very strong, well, I will not suggest medicines. But if you are not able to control with your diet control, with your exercise and your stress management, definitely you must be on medicines.
Okay.
Why? What is the paranoia? First question, doctor, does it cause kidney failure? Definitely there is no such diabetic medicine that is causing a kidney disease, because if there is a medicine that causes a disease, it will not be in the market.
Okay.
No medicine will cause a disease. It's actually a statement that people must understand. It does not cause any medicine directly, any disease directly. So
Okay.
none of the diabetic medicines will cause a disease.
Okay.
So you can be very sure about that point. Of
Okay.
course, medicine has its side effects, which will be mentioned by the doctor. But then, whenever you choose any medicine, be it for diabetes or for blood pressure or for cholesterol, I would suggest measure the risk versus benefit ratio.
Okay.
See that, am I scared about the disease or am I scared about the medicine?
Side effect.
Side effect of
Yeah,
the medicine. See, diabetes itself, we know, we just mentioned the scary phase of diabetes.
Yeah.
Imagine what this medicine can do. This medicine may cause some gastric discomfort. The
Okay.
medicine may you have to take it maybe a few days or few months. Is that the burden or the scary phase of the disease the burden? So if you ask me, The disease itself is much more worse than the mild side effects you see with the medicine. So, definitely if the medicine is indicated, you must take the medicine. Then the next question that people definitely think is, how long if I take it, doctor, should I take it lifelong? That is what, that is the paranoia. Now, there is nothing like that. There is no medicine you say that, okay, you started, khalas, now you have to take it lifelong. No, no, nothing like that. Once you start on a medicine, depending upon the sugar values that have been monitored frequently, if you have a very good control, as I told you, the 3 pillars are there remaining, supporting you strongly, you can definitely hold the medicines.
So, with lifestyle, diabetic patient can be cured, it can come to normal?
Definitely, definitely. I would just like to correct the word cure, because scientifically speaking, I should not be using the word cure, but it can be reversed to say that the patient can remain drug free. So, in medicine, treatment to treat a disease and to cure a disease is a bit different. Cure means you completely remove from your body. Well, that may not be possible, because even when you remove the medicines from the picture, the patient shall be strictly on a healthy lifestyle, diet, exercise and stress management as well.
That is even a surprise for me. Even I used to believe that once diabetic means
finished.
Yes,
exactly. People believe that now doctor, don't write me a medicine, because once I start, then I can never stop. Actually, there is no term like that. If you try yourselves, as I said, 4 pillars are there. Fix the 3 pillars very strongly. A very good lifestyle, a very good follow-up, a regular checkup. Trust me, it's possible.
Actually, in reality, people are more scared about the medicines and other things than about the real disease.
Exactly, they don't understand. They are scared about the medicine than the disease. But when you see the scary face of the disease, let me ask you, who wants to have any one of these numbers of diseases I mentioned? None of them want it. Then why are we keeping away from medicine? And see the concern, we have to take it lifelong? No, it's not mentioned even that. So let people come forward. And still I am not marketing any medicine, but I would like to say that if you have to take a medicine, do take it. Because Jisha, just to add one point to that. See, what is the necessity, or doctor, why are you so urgent in doing this? Why not I try little more of diet and exercise? I may get more control, I will see to it. I would say, earlier you control the diabetes, you control the diabetes, the later will be your complication. See, almost diabetic patients, when you come, it's a continuously progressive disease. You can only arrest it. You cannot just clear away from your body. You can keep it controlled. If you are not controlling it, it progresses. As it progresses, it will have complications, the ones we mentioned. So, as early as possible, you control the sugars, the later will be your complications. So, why we want to wait for that day to come when we have a complication, then we say, doctor, now we will start. It's actually foolish.
So better to start early.
Better to start early, the management. I did not say medications, but the management. And if it is the medication that is needed early, let us start it.
So another question we got, WhatsApp, we got a lot of questions. Another question was like, I have diabetes, but my parents did not have. Same way, other way around. They did not have, but I got. Why? This was a constant question.
Exactly, because people say this question, doctor, I don't know how I got this diabetes from my family,
where,
did not have it. I'll just give you one example. Say a 50-year-old lady comes to me stating that, doctor, I have diabetes for the last 5 years, but my mother did not have diabetes. I'll say, yes, interesting. I will ask them just to see another patient, a 25-year-old young boy present with diabetes. And you ask his history, he tells me, doctor, my mother at 55 is having diabetes. I said, and what about her mother? No, doctor, her grandparent does not have diabetes. So with this 55-year-old lady has diabetes, but no family history. This 25-year-old son is having diabetes, his mother is having diabetes, but his grandmother is not having diabetes. See what has happened. Let us take this grandmother's era, maybe say around 1980s, or they are at their 50s at that time. If you look at these people, look at their lifestyle. Why didn't take a male? Because males, we will say, of course, they are working, they are having much physical work. Let us take a female, because at that time working females are quite less. So why didn't they have diabetes? Because they were not having much work. I would say, look at their lifestyle. Though they did not do any aerobic exercise, look at their daily routine. Look how much physical activity they have done in their kitchen. Say, for example, let us take up a scenario when we were washing clothes.
Yeah.
There was a time when there was no washing machine.
Yes.
There was a time when there was no tap water. So imagine all these people at that time, even though they are not doing any aerobic exercise or gym, they were doing physical activity continuously till they sleep. The washing dishes, there was no dishwasher at that time. So from the morning to the evening, they were just like a machine working.
True.
And look at their diet. How often will this guy's grandmother would have taken a chocolate in her life?
Yeah.
How often a burger? How often a cream? I doubt whether they would have seen a pastry.
Yeah.
So look at the diet they consumed and look at the physical activity they have done. So at 88 or 90 years, she is not diabetic.
Yeah.
Now look at this daughter of hers who is 55 years right now and compare. At least up to 20 or 15 years of her age, she would have had a healthy lifestyle with a healthy diet. She would have played in her childhood. She would have played out running 2 to 3 hours per day. She would have never sat with a mobile. She would have never seen a video game.
Yeah.
She would have never sat with any games at home.
True.
Or watched a serial
Yeah.
or a cartoon. And till 15, she was living a very, very physically active, healthy life. By 18, 19, of course, the effects of KFC, McD would have started to come in.
Yes.
And she would have started to use more of TVs, and then after a few years she had computers, she had laptops at home, and she had mobiles, and the physical activity came down. At 55, she is diabetic.
Yeah.
Now let us look at her son, who is only 25. Look at him. From his birth, he started to eat all these things, the pastries, the creams, all things, the burgers, everything. And the physical activity is what his mother did and what he did and his grandmother did.
Drastic change in lifestyle.
Drastically change in lifestyle.
Yeah.
So the one disease that has to come at 90, for one era it will be 55, now for your era it will be 25.
Yes.
This is why, even though you don't find a direct relation with the family history, this is coming down, because family history is not just the one factor for diabetes.
Okay. But is it hereditary actually? Is there a high chance?
Definitely. Now that is the problem. So what happens now? Now I create a link.
Okay.
When I create a link, when I am diabetic and my wife is diabetic, very high chance my child will be diabetic.
Okay,
Now tell me, what is the unlikely chance that I will not be diabetic? Look at my lifestyle. I will be diabetic anyway. Then we are actually stating that this is the reason why more than 400 million people are diabetic in the world.
Yeah.
Why? All of us are shifting to a lifestyle where we forgot
sedentary
that
lifestyle.
totally sedentary lifestyle.
True.
The physical activity has totally come down. That is the reason why now we are sitting in secondary smoking.
Yeah.
How often you walk? This has totally come down, and the diet on the other side.
Yeah.
And imagine the stress building up.
True.
Just look at a small child, 10-year-old child. When I was 10 years, I did not know what stress was.
Yeah.
Now see the 10-year-old child, see the stress the child is going through.
Yes, yes. We were not even aware of the word
something called stress. Actually,
Yeah.
no one spoke about the stress at the time.
True.
See, so that is also adding. So if you see that the 3 pillars which I told are weak and very, very weak and getting more weaker.
Yeah. True,
So of
true.
course, family
So
history
more
also-
than hereditary, it's about the
Yes,
lifestyle.
lifestyle. Because hereditary, we cannot do anything. Why should we
Yes.
speak of something that is non-correctable?
Yeah.
Let us do something which can be corrected. So
Yes, yes.
I hope the viewers, when they see this, at least they let them start. Even though we are late, maybe let us keep the children
Yes.
prepared that, of course, they will face this scary disease one time. So why don't we start the physical activity and diet control much earlier so that they don't get diabetes.
True. As a continuation of this, now we all have the baggage of a belly, big belly.
Yeah.
Mainly lifestyle, as you
Exactly.
said, junk food, chocolates.
True.
Though we know about it, we don't do anything about it.
True.
And even if we are thin, BMI is normal, still we have an extra belly.
Yes.
Is there a connection between this big belly and diabetes?
True. You know what, as you said, that there are certain non-modifiable risk factors.
Yeah.
One among them is our country.
Yeah.
We as Indians basically have a pattern where we have a central obesity coming up very frequently.
Yes.
That is why when we compare with the Caucasian, we are a little short and we have a belly. I'm not saying all of us, but
Yeah.
of course people like me do have it.
Yeah.
So belly is a concern. Now, how is it dangerous and how is it related to diabetes? Till the recent years, fat was just considered as a waste part of the body. It was not considered to be
Yes.
having any issues at all. but it has been found that this belly fat is the sole reason for insulin resistance in these people.
Okay.
So when you have belly fat, this fat acts as an organ and behaves to create insulin resistance in your body.
Okay.
So when even though you have insulin, but they are resistant to act in the periphery, causing diabetes. So if you ask me, our non-modifiable unfortunate incident that we are Indians and we are having this obesity is one among the reasons why we stand first in diabetes.
Okay.
So definitely we must put the extra effort to burn the fat. You know that when you do the workout itself, the most difficult is to get the belly fat down.
Yes.
Yes, but then we have to do the physical activity to burn it. Or why don't we put it like this, that from early age, let us not develop this obesity, belly, so that the children, you know, there is a belief that when a child looks plump, round, you feel very cute. I think that attitude has to be changed. It's better that the child looks no slim, we say, oh, the child is more cute.
Yes, true,
definitely
true,
it has a relationship.
So even if we are thin, we have to do something about our belly.
Definitely. The fat inside your belly is definitely a dangerous thing.
Okay.
It's not just the appearance, it's a killer, if you ask me so.
Okay. So definitely our viewers will take this note from you.
I really wish they do.
Yes.
Yeah, all of us.
Yeah, it's a note for all of us. And we got a lot of message from pregnant women. They are all concerned about diabetes, because one question we received was, diabetic, they are already diabetic and they are taking medicines, and should they continue the medicine while pregnancy?
Very good, very good. That's a good question. See, there was a time when, if you speak the past history, usually at that age nobody was diabetic before. Okay, so it was a less explored or less suspicious area. But now, since people are diabetic at a much young age, when they become pregnant, they are already diabetic and they are diabetic in pregnancy also. Of course, their treatment has to be continued. But then, of course, all medicines cannot be carried along during the diabetic period. Many of them are, when you become pregnant, cannot be taken because of the deleterious effect to the mother and the child. So in that case, we'll have to shift the management. Of course, even at that time, the diet control and exercise do play a role even at that time. But then some of the tablets which the patient may be on may have to be shifted to insulin or safer tablets which can be prescribed during pregnancy. But of course, they can take medications, and almost all good insulins are perfectly safe in pregnancy.
So insulin is safe during pregnancy?
Exactly. Insulin is the safest or the first choice in pregnancy. So there are multiple preparations of insulin which can be taken once daily, or the old one which can be taken, should be taken 3 times.
Actually, people are scared to start insulin, thinking this is the strongest, or again, once it is started, it's difficult to stop, or these things are there.
Absolutely no. Absolutely no. I will not say that when a patient comes with diabetes, the first thing is to start insulin. No. But in pregnancy, if you ask me, you want to have a strict control which is not obtained by the baseline metformin. Of course, you put the patient on insulin, and that insulin can be definitely weaned off after pregnancy. When if she is able to control her blood sugars, we can definitely wean off the insulin and put her back on the tablet she was on. So there is no harm in starting insulin. And of course, the fear to start insulin, as you said, there is absolutely nothing to be worried about. People first have this concern, as you asked, doctor, once I start insulin, my God, can I ever stop it? Now we have been stating that once you start any medicine, we can stop it. So then no exception with insulin. Definitely insulin can be stopped, definitely, provided you are having type 2 diabetes, not the insulin dependent diabetes. The other type of diabetes where, you know, from birth itself you are having a decreased insulin, and then your insulin becomes weaned off, you do not have any more insulin in your body. In such people, we don't have a choice, you must be on insulin lifelong. But the most common diabetes, which among our population is type 2 diabetes, where definitely we can stop insulin or even medicines if you are able to control diabetes with your diet, exercise and lifestyle modifications.
Doctor, since you mentioned type 2, type 1 and type 2, I think most of us are aware. Still, maybe you can just explain in one or two sentences.
Sure, since you mentioned it. See, honestly speaking, diabetes is not just type 1 and type 2, Type 1 and type 2 are the ones that's most commonly known about, but there is a very large section of other groups called MODY or maturity onset diabetes of the young, a long list. Let us keep that aside, but come to 1 and 2. Yes, type 1 is this condition where the patient does not have insulin in the body, to be very plain, because the pancreas, which is to produce the insulin, is not producing insulin due to X or Y reasons. In such patients, the choice is insulin. We don't have another medicine for that. We can add something, but the base medicine shall be insulin. Now, in type 2 is not the case. Type 2, you have insulin, but there is something called insulin resistance, where though you have insulin, but your sugars are not metabolized. That is type 2 diabetes, which is the most common among our population.
So basically, when from childhood people are having diabetes, means it's type 1.
Well, it used to be said like that. Even I was a student. If you have a 10-year-old patient coming with diabetes or a 15-year-old diabetes, it's type 1 invariably. But not now, because as I said, the insulin resistance have started to come up much early, and there is now a set of other types of diabetes which is not the type 1. Initially it was, of course, I would have definitely said when I started my career, if you asked me this question, I would have definitely said that yes, it is type 1. But now not anymore. Not anymore. Even you have very young children who are having type 2 diabetes also.
Now, from pregnant ladies, there was another category of people. They were asking if diabetes is developed during pregnancy for the first time. Are they supposed to have it? I mean, will they continue in the same condition? Are they prone to have diabetes in early stage? These kind of questions were very common.
Exactly, Jisha. Thank you for bringing up that point. Also, females have to know about this thing, because the diabetes in pregnancy is called gestational diabetes, which is now increasing in frequency. Large number of people are now having gestational diabetes, and actually, if you see the previous years and this year's prevalence, it is actually doubling now. For such people who develop gestational diabetes or diabetes in pregnancy, they have a 10-fold chance of developing diabetes in the future life than a normal lady. So, development of gestational diabetes itself is considered as a very high risk factor for this lady to be diabetic. But that does not mean that after her pregnancy she should be diabetic. No. But as compared to normal lady, she does have a 10-fold rise of a chance of becoming diabetic in the future life. So that is actually a warning sign that is telling us that why don't we check our sugars and our parameters regularly, so that we know we are having a higher chance. Why don't we follow up regularly, or maybe why don't we start a healthy lifestyle immediately, so that we will not be having diabetes in our future.
So in such cases, how regularly they should check, like once a year, once in 6 months?
Exactly. If you are not diabetic, you're perfectly fine. Yearly once is perfectly comfortable for you. Nothing to worry. But if you do have a chance, but you are not diabetic, now once in 6 months. Now if you are diabetic and you want to follow up, monthly sugar challenge is to monitor is the best, though books may say 3 months, but at least 1 month I would suggest you to monitor your sugars monthly once, just to make sure that it is maintained.
Doctor, we have a lot more questions. We will go through it. Now we will go for a short break.
Thank you.
Every piece of jewelry tells a story. Its raw beauty speaks of its natural origins. The brilliant design speaks of unparalleled craftsmanship. Its elegance evokes the passion and energy of those who wear it. At Al Siraj Jewelry, our story, our pride.
Welcome back to the show again. We are back with the rest of the questions. Doctor, we are again back with the questions. So we received some more questions.
Sure.
So whatever we discuss, it's all the known sides of diabetes.
Yes.
So an unknown side or most undiscussed side, insulin resistance.
Yes.
So some people were saying they were told to test insulin instead of sugar level.
Yes.
So they were complaining about low sugar level. How this is happening?
Very good. Now this is most important, insulin resistance.
Yes.
Well, even in the previous questions we were mentioning that the difference between type 1 and type 2 is insulin resistance. So let me just give you an idea what insulin does.
Okay.
Now in our body, insulin is produced from our pancreas. It's a hormone, it is there. Now what does it do, Let us think of a cart. I used to tell this to my students, a bulla cart. So there is this cart driver, and now this cart driver breathes insulin.
Okay.
So this cart driver is into the circulation with a big cart. So he goes around in the circulation and he takes up all the sugar. Okay. And what is supposed to do? He is to deliver the sugar to the tissues like your muscles, your brain, your lots of parts in your body. They need sugar. So the insulin takes it to the muscle. Now this cart driver reaches the muscle, he knocks on the door, and this muscle lady, she comes, opens the door, and she sees, okay, this is the cart driver I know.
Okay.
So when I know this is my cart driver, she will open the door for the glucose to be loaded.
Okay.
The cart driver loads the glucose and goes back. Again collects the glucose, distributes to the individual homes. This is what insulin does basically. Insulin does not do any other magic.
Very simple way of
Very
explanation.
simple. Now let us see what happens. See a patient is having this cart driver. He goes, reaches the muscle, knocks on the muscle. The lady comes, opens the door and say, no, I don't know this guy. He is a stranger. I won't accept this glucose. He goes to the next muscle. Of course, she also says, no, I will not take your glucose anymore. So what happens? The glucose is piled up in the circulation again and again because this poor cart driver is not able to deliver it on the tissues. So he is facing a resistance in the periphery where he is delivering it. This is called insulin resistance.
Okay.
Now in this case, if you look, of course this patient is having plenty, enough and more of cart drivers in the blood, means good insulin is there, lots of insulin is there, but still the sugars are very high.
Okay.
This is insulin resistance. So in this patient, people will say, you are diabetic, so you have low insulin. Well, I will say, then check your insulin. Why don't you check your insulin? You can check your fasting insulin. Check your fasting insulin. You have an insulin resistance index that can be calculated, which would tell you, are you having a resistance or not?
Okay.
Then your doubt is cleared. This is what is more important nowadays, because you should understand the pathology that is happening to you is almost that you are not having insulin. It's not true.
Okay.
You are having insulin, but you are having a resistance in the periphery where he is not able to deliver the glucose to the concerned tissue. This is the resistance, and this is what is happening in insulin resistance. Now to add to it, is it also, so doctor, do you think that insulin is normal and yet the lady is not opening? Maybe the insulin is normal, but the lady's tissues are not able to accept it, could be. Or say that insulin is malfunctioned, altered or damaged. So such an insulin goes to, of course it is able to carry the glucose, but when it goes to the receptor, the lady is not able to receive it. Well, that can be a cause. So there, though you have insulin, but the insulin's function or insulin's ability to deliver is decreased. In such cases, of course, though the insulin is there, you may have to take insulin in cases because that insulin is not functioning properly.
Okay.
That's also another scenario, though you have good insulin, one reason for the resistance could be this point as well. Not just always the muscle causing the issue, even the insulin itself may be a reason why you have a resistance in the periphery.
Okay.
So this is what is insulin resistance as a base story to understand, and maybe this is the reason. Then once one student asked me this question, doctor, then you say that you have good insulin, you have more numbers, then when I am diabetic, why are you prescribing me insulin alone again?
Okay.
Now let us say if in a scenario that when a patient with type 2 diabetes come, normally we do not start first on insulin. No, we do not promote like insulin take. Instead, we start our measures to control the peripheral resistance. We try to alter or change the receptor. Lady, we go tell the lady that, dear, no, this is our old guy, you can trust him, he is my person. So we make her more receptible for the insulin deliver. Now even then, even after then we understand it is not effective, then we understand the insulin is not good enough for the lady to receive. So in that case, we give the best insulin for the body, so that they will take the sugars, and when they go, the lady will easily accept it. This is the time when we have to put on insulin, even when there is insulin in your body. So that makes like little more comfortable, though you have insulin, but then she is anyway not accepting it. Whatever you try at the periphery, let us bring a new phase in. This is how, in short, for layman to understand how this insulin resistance, or maybe this is the, in short, the basic pathology of all of us diabetic people in our population.
And similarly, I think ladies who are having PCOD are supposed to take the same medicines you are giving for diabetic patients, right?
Now, PCOS that's a wonderful thing, Jisha, you mentioned. People might think that, young ladies, say for example, 25-year-old lady who has PCOS prescribed this medicine, she will first say, doctor, I think, are you not mistaken this medicine?
I'm not diabetic, why should I
why
take
you
this?
give me this is taken by my father, takes the same medicines for diabetes, and I am PCOS. Of course, the treatment of PCOS is metformin, but a person with PCOS has a very high chance of developing diabetes, almost 4 times higher chance than a common lady to become diabetes, because of multiple reasons. A PCOS patient can have insulin resistance more than a common person. So a person with PCOS, if you measure the resistance index developing diabetes, they have a high insulin resistance as compared to a normal person. So a person with PCOS, just like I was mentioning the gestational diabetes, a person with PCOS of course has a very high chance of becoming diabetes as compared to a normal person, because in them actually they are developing insulin resistance. Could be because of the hyperandrogenemia in your body, whatever may be the reasons, but they are developing resistance inside the body. So in future they will not definitely, but they have very high chance to become diabetes. Not that people say, doctor, but I am not obese. Usually PCOS people are obese, but you know there are lean PCOS also. In lean PCOS also, the insulin resistance is the main factor. In obese, of course, there is something called hepatic production of glucose. That is also affected in obese people. So whether you are obese or whether you are lean, if you are PCOS, you may be having a very high chance of developing diabetes.
So in that case, they have to be
careful. They have to be very careful, just like the gestational diabetes. I would say, if you are having PCOS, think that you are having an extra added risk factor on your head. You shall be diabetic. So be careful.
We received queries like they feel hungry all the time and they are becoming fat.
Very good. Now that point,
whatever they eat, it's like
now
burning.
This is other than the hormonal side, means the ovarian hormones. I would like to add to something called reactive hypoglycemia. This is one thing I would like all of you to understand. So you said this point, doctor, why they have low sugar? Why are they having, you are saying that they are going to be diabetic, then why are you saying they are having low sugar? This is contradictory. This is something called reactive hypoglycemia, more commonly seen in, of course it is in diabetic patients, but it is also seen in PCOS in good numbers. Now what is happening? After your meal, 1.5 hours to 5 hours gap, you may be having a tendency to have a low blood sugar. You know what happens is that in those cases, actually there is a reactive hypoglycemia secondary to hyperinsulinemia. Though I said there is insulin resistance, it does not mean that this insulin is not acting. Otherwise then you would have died of high blood sugar. Of course they are acting, but they are not acting properly, or they are not acting synergistically.
Okay.
Say after your meal, I will just make it like this, very simple to understand, though it's not the exact science. After a meal, you have a large load of sugars going in, correct?
Yeah.
So your pancreas has now to produce corresponding amount of insulin,
Yes.
right? They act correspondingly, they produce the correct amount of insulin, the insulin acts correct, your sugars are maintained.
Yeah.
Imagine a patient who is having insulin resistance. The body produced, you took in sugar after your meal, the sugar started to go high. Now the pancreas has to produce the insulin. Yes, it produced the insulin, but it is not active effectively. So initially the tendency, the sugars may go high, but then the insulin may become active.
Okay.
And there is not, there is a disordered secretion of insulin.
Okay.
So the insulin is not released in an order or in a particular fashion, the regular fashion. So what happens is that you will have an overshoot of the insulin effect in this patient, causing hypoglycemia.
Okay.
That is the reason why some of these people have this hypoglycemia. And you also mentioned they consume more and
More food, yes.
It is because of something called counter-regulatory secretion of hormones.
Okay.
So whenever your sugar falls down because of this overactive insulin, when the sugar falls down, immediately your body system, they does not know, the other system does not know you are having this issue. So they will understand, oh my God, the sugar is low, let us produce more hormones, give him more sugar. So they start to produce the counter-regulatory hormones like glucagon, which will again build in more sugar. So it is actually to something helps you to take more food, make more effective, release more sugar, because this guy is going to die of starvation. There is no sugar.
So whatever you eat, it's just burnt.
Exactly, and then they release more hormones, and your sugar goes high again. So
Okay.
this is what happens. Actually, there is a disorder in the glucose metabolism. So you can. This is called reactive hypoglycemia, which is actually a sign that you are diabetic.
Okay.
When you have
okay.
developed reactive
So
hypoglycemia.
even though you feel burned and all, you
Yeah.
are not supposed to take sugar content, right?
Of course, if you are not having hypoglycemia, well, don't crave for this. What you must do, you must prevent this.
Prevent this.
See,
okay.
if you have reactive hypoglycemia, you have no choice but to eat. What else you do?
Yes.
You are hungry, then you don't have a choice. You
Yeah.
have to eat. Your sugar is low. But let us prevent reactive hypoglycemia. Let us prevent the insulin resistance.
But how?
That is the answer for the treatment of diabetes. Insulin resistance has to be prevented. How you prevent it? As the treatment starts, let us start from our first day of our life. Let us have a healthy lifestyle. It is not doable in one day. But
Okay.
are we doing anything for it? Actually nothing. We are doing it in the last stage. After the insulin resistance occurred, we all start. Now, if you go to this endless garden and see these people walking in the endless garden, maybe 20 years back you would not have seen in that area people walking, or anywhere people walking. Now you see the people walking there.
Yeah.
Do you just observe them? What is their age group? You see them. 60 to 70 percentage of patients are 60 plus, 10 to 20% are 40 plus,
yeah.
maybe 5 to 10 hardly less than 30 years old.
Yeah.
Why? Because they are waiting for that day to walk.
We are waiting to
We
fall
are waiting
sick.
to fall sick. Why don't, let us make sure that, see, in our childhood, we had played hours and hours per day. We have ran hours per day. I should say that every child should play at least 2 hours per day, which they are not doing.
Now it's all online, and PlayStation.
And curse this corona.
Yeah.
This has made
became
people
more
absolutely mobile.
Yes.
They are glued to their chairs, that the children does not have anything. Now when these children, when they grow up, ladies, they develop PCOS, children early become diabetes, they have insulin resistance, they have reactive hypoglycemia, all the chain of events occur one by one, because
They are more prone
they
to
are prone
diabetes.
for all this,
Yeah.
just because they did not do the homework they should have done.
Okay.
So let us focus on the next generation. As you asked me now, what can I do for my insulin resistance? Let us try hard with all what we can do, but let us step one step forward to make that next generation at least conscious about. So once, if you ask me, Jisha, whom will you make more active, and which kind of population will you be more aggressive with? I will say the young population.
Yes.
I want the children who are not diabetic to not become even pre-diabetic. Because
Yes.
now if you see anyone, doctor said it's not diabetic, but I may become diabetic.
I
So
may.
everybody we see as a pre-diabetic. Let us at least make this thing out, that you are
Yes.
not pre-diabetic anymore.
Actually, this awareness should start from children now.
Exactly, now it is high time.
Not in the adult group. Yeah.
Trust me, if you start awareness among children, they are the most receptive one.
Yes,
Their brains
yes.
are so fresh.
True.
You just imagine, now if I ask to wear a mask, of course the adults are now reluctant to wear a mask because corona is far away, but you see the kids,
Yes.
they are very strict in
Yeah,
wearing
yeah,
the mask
They
even
religiously
now.
follow it.
Religiously
Yes,
following
yes.
it now, because they adopt to the changes. So
Yeah.
if you could have made this awareness, see, there was no need for this awareness years back because it was all physical.
Yes.
The diet was different. Now since the diet has changed and the physical activity has changed, we must cultivate this habit in the children, that they
Yes.
must know that they must spend 2 hours physical activity every day.
Yeah.
Then they will not have resistance, they will not have reactive hypoglycemia, they will not have to eat more.
True,
All
true,
this chain
true,
of events
true.
shall be aborted if we could start much earlier.
True, true. And even the fast food is adding to this.
Oh,
Yeah,
not to
yeah.
mention this diet habits.
Yeah.
I don't know what all fastest and the fastest
Yes.
are coming in the market. You go, you see one new commodity in the next month. So definitely they are not at all good for your health.
Okay, and we try to cover almost all the questions.
Yes.
And as you say, prevention is better than cure.
Always.
So, as a message, what you have a message to our viewers to prevent diabetes?
Yes. I will first, being a doctor, when being a diabetes day, I would say I'll quote the theme that access to diabetes care.
Yeah.
So once we have here access to all of you who do have access, use it please. Avail the resources that is available for us for proper diabetes care. Like,
Yes.
if you are not diabetic, let us check that are you becoming diabetic or not. If you are diabetic, do all the necessary measures, the diet, the exercise, the stress, and if necessary medicines, so that you don't have complications.
Yes.
And if you have the complications, the scary ones I mentioned, let us control the complications with strict medications and management. So this will be the real access. And takeaway message for all of us, me including, let us try to follow this, that a healthy lifestyle is the keystone of a healthy living. As we are
Definitely.
concerned that the world may have because of the global warming, we are concerned about the nature. Let us, if you are good, we are thinking about it, let us think about ourselves also, that we are not far from extinction if we go like this. So let us think that the key message or the key step that we will take to survive here is to have a healthy lifestyle.
True, very true. Thank you so much, Doctor, because it was indeed helpful for many of our viewers. Thank you so much for your time. It was really, really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
So with this, we are concluding this episode. I'm sure it was very helpful for all of you, and take Dr. Rahul's message. It will surely be helpful for all of you. And do write to us. I'm sure you will all be having our helpline number by now. If not, please note it down now and do write to us your queries, and we will try to include all your questions in our future upcoming episodes. And now, this is Jisha signing off. Stay healthy, stay happy, keep smiling. Good night.
Academy for Excellence in Education. A new venture from IMAC Bahrain Media City to bring world-class learning at your doorsteps. Best coaching available now for the school-going students. Online and offline tuition classes for all subjects, Standard 3 to Standard 10. Our motto, help students to excel in their studies.
What makes us different? Unique teaching methods with interactive video sessions, periodic revision, periodic tests, progressive discussions and personalized monthly improvement reports, online library, free counseling and career guidance, ALP and ADP student development programs, Preparations for Acer Maths Olympiad, Shastra Pradibha. Qualified and experienced tutors with 14 years experience in the relevant field. 6 demo classes for free. Scholarships for hardworking students.
Various scholarship schemes for 50% students based on their performance in aptitude tests. Absolutely free course for 10% toppers. Winners will be awarded attractive prizes. So hurry up and enroll now for the aptitude test on 5th November 2021. Please visit www.bahrainmediacity.com for online registration or contact us on 3664 6223.
One-stop solution for all your academic and non-academic excellence in the Kingdom of Bahrain. IMAC Bahrain Media City.
The exclusive franchisee of Cochin Kala Bhavan in Bahrain, with over a decade of existence in Bahrain. Exclusive online regular classes have started for classical dances, music vocal, instrumental music, cinematic dance, Kathak, Zumba body fitness, karate and yoga, drawing, arts and craft, children's theatre. For more information, please call 3909 6845 3909 4806 38 85 2397 or visit www.bahrainmediacity.com. IMAC Cochin